off another deep dive. Today we're heading over to Madrid, Spain.
Ooh, sounds fun.
It is, but it's not just any day in Madrid. It's actually the Feast of St. Anthony.
Okay.
And the year is 2025, so pretty futuristic, huh?
Definitely. I wonder what's changed.
Well, one thing that's still going strong is this unique tradition of pet blessings.
Pet blessings. In a church.
Exactly. And we got some great reporting from both Ground News and Euronews to guide us through it all.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm ready to dive in.
So reading through these sources,
Yeah.
what really stood out to me is this incredible blend of faith and furry friends.
Right. I mean, just picturing the scene is pretty amazing. You've got the solemnity of St. Anthony Church.
Yeah.
But suddenly it's like brimming with the energy of all these pets.
It's definitely not your average Sunday service.
Yeah, no cap.
So I've got to ask, why is St. Anthony? I mean, I know he's the patron saint of animals.
Right.
But is there more to it than that?
Oh, absolutely. St. Anthony's a really complex figure.
Okay.
He's known for helping people find lost things.
Right. I've heard that.
And he played a huge role in the Franciscan order, emphasizing poverty, preaching, that sort of thing.
Wow.
So when you see him as the focal point of this pet blessing tradition, it just adds another layer.
Yeah, it makes you think, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's tapping into this really multifaceted history.
Totally.
Okay. But getting back to the pets themselves.
Yeah.
What about the blessings? What's the actual significance? Are they purely symbolic? Or is there a deeper belief system at play?
I think it speaks to something bigger, that human need to find comfort or security.
Oh, interesting.
When things feel uncertain.
Yeah.
People want the best for their pets, right?
Of course.
And in a world where we often feel powerless, maybe seeking a blessing, it brings a sense of hope.
So it's more than just a cute photo op?
I think so.
It's about actively engaging with faith?
Right.
To ensure their pets' well-being. That makes me wonder about the atmosphere of the event. Is it somber and serious? Or is there a more celebratory vibe?
Well, based on the Euronews video,
Okay.
it seems like a pretty joyous occasion. They even had the municipal police band playing music.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, during the pet welcoming mass. And they even had special bread rolls for sale.
Huh. So it's like a community festival almost.
Yeah, exactly. But with, this spiritual element woven in.
It makes sense why this tradition has been going strong since the 1980s.
It really does.
It clearly resonates with the community.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that Ground News mentioned this isn't just a Spanish thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently it's celebrated in former Spanish colonies too.
That's so interesting.
Right. It shows how these cultural practices can travel. They evolve, take on new meanings.
In totally different contexts.
Yeah, and it speaks to just how universal that human-animal bond really is.
It really does.
But let's talk about the visual aspects of the tradition for a minute. We've got these priests in colorful robes.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of different animals.
That's got to be a sight.
And a historic church as the backdrop. What do you think all those visual elements add to the experience?
That's a good question. I think there's some deeper symbolism at play there.
Like what?
Well, for example, the priest's attire, right, represents authority, sanctity. So it reinforces the idea that a divine blessing is being given.
To the animals.
Right. And then the variety of animals there
Yeah.
shows how inclusive this tradition is,
Yeah.
welcoming all creatures,
Oh, I like that.
big and small. And then the setting, that historic church,
Yeah.
adds a sense of continuity, connects this modern practice to a rich heritage.
It sounds like a photographer's dream.
Definitely.
But beyond the visuals, I'm curious about the psychology of it all. Why bring your pet to be blessed?
Yeah.
Is it just about protection, or is there something else going on?
That's where things get interesting. I mean, seeking protection is definitely part of it. But I think there are other layers, too. Maybe it's a way for people to, publicly express their love.
For their pets.
Yeah. To formally acknowledge how important they are to the family.
Right, like a celebration of that bond.
Exactly. Or maybe it's a way of reaffirming their faith, showing they belong to this community that values this tradition.
So it's about connecting with something bigger.
I think so.
Their faith, their community, their love for animals.
Yeah, it's like a ritualistic expression of all those bonds.
It's really quite beautiful when you think about it that way.
It is.
And we can't forget the cultural significance either.
Oh, absolutely.
These traditions passed down over generations, help create a sense of belonging, a shared identity.
They remind us of the values that matter.
It's a connection to the past.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've established these pet blessings are more than just a sprinkle of holy water.
Right. It's way deeper than that.
They're this, like, vibrant tapestry of religious beliefs, cultural heritage, and genuine love for animals. But how does the blessing actually unfold? Like, what happens during the ceremony itself?
Well, from what I gather, it seems pretty straightforward. Pet owners gather outside the church with their animals, and they form a line. Just imagine this diverse and lively queue.
Yeah.
Dogs, cats, parrots, even a chicken, according to Orsorth.
The chicken. Okay, now I can see a picture of this.
I know, right?
So they form a line, and then what?
Then the priest comes out and sprinkles holy water on each animal. The specifics might vary depending on the priest.
Yeah.
But the core element is that act of sprinkling. It symbolizes purification, divine grace.
It's amazing to think about all the emotions that must be present in that moment.
Right.
The pet owner's hope, the reverence, and then the pets probably just completely confused.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Must be a lot to take in.
It really makes you wonder what's going through their minds.
Doesn't it? The change in routine, all the people, the sounds, the smells.
Yeah.
It's got to create a unique atmosphere for them.
Speaking of atmosphere, you mentioned earlier that it seems like a joyous occasion, but what's the overall vibe like? Is it chaotic, reverent?
Good question. I'd say it's more like upbeat and positive.
Okay.
You know, like we said, the Euronews video even mentioned a police band playing.
Yeah.
So it's not like somber or overly serious.
Definitely not.
More like a celebration.
Right, like a community thing.
Yeah, exactly. But still, you know, that spiritual element mixed in.
It's like a really interesting mix of traditional and modern.
I see what you mean.
This ancient ritual, but then you've got a police band playing.
It's cool how it adapts.
Right.
Like traditions aren't stuck in the past.
Yeah.
The living things, you know, expressing what the community believes.
It's like a reflection of how Madrid is changing, but also a link to their past.
Yeah, like a bridge between generations.
Makes you wonder about the future of this tradition. That's a good point.
We'll stick around.
Who knows? Or will it fade away as things change even more?
Yeah.
I feel like traditions that tap into basic human needs, they tend to be pretty resilient.
That's true.
Like we've been talking about, this whole need for connection, ritual.
Yes, searching for meaning, comfort.
Exactly. In a world that can feel pretty chaotic.
In a world that's getting more secular, it's cool that these traditions give people a tangible way to connect.
Right.
It's not even just about religion, you know?
I get it.
It's about that sense of community.
Shared values.
Belonging.
And of course, that special bond between people and animals.
Oh, for sure. That transcends any culture or time period, really.
Yeah, it's universal.
It is.
That love for our pets is just
Yeah.
so deeply ingrained.
It's in our nature, right?
This tradition, it just provides this like beautiful way to celebrate that bond.
You're right, it does.
I've got to say, this whole deep dive has really opened my eyes to all the different layers of meaning.
It is fascinating.
I mean, we started with this charming scene in Madrid, and now we're exploring faith, culture,
The human-animal bond.
the power of traditions. It's pretty amazing.
We've only just scratched the surface, though.
True. That's the thing with deep dives, right?
There's always more to discover.
It's about sparking curiosity.
Making people want to look deeper
Yeah.
and find those hidden depths.
Before we let our listener go off on their own explorations, though, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier,
Okay.
that this tradition isn't just limited to Spain.
Yeah, you're right.
It's happening in former Spanish colonies, too.
It really makes you think about how cultural practices spread.
That cultural diffusion, right?
How did it get to those other places?
Yeah. Did it keep its original meaning?
Or did it change along the way?
It's like this cultural puzzle.
I like that.
I'm imagining a map
Uh-huh.
with lines connecting Spain to all these other places.
Yeah.
Each line representing the journey of this tradition.
That's a great visual.
It's like we're all connected. Even seemingly isolated cultural practices, they have these links.
To a bigger network.
It's like we're all part of one giant story.
A tapestry.
Yes. woven from all these different threads of human experience.
And these traditions, they're like windows.
Yeah, you can peek through and see all the richness.
And diversity.
It's about appreciating that tapestry.
Absolutely.
It really underscores the importance of cultural exploration, doesn't it?
It does.
Learning about other cultures helps us understand the world better.
And ourselves.
Okay, so we've journeyed to Madrid.
We have.
We witnessed this heartwarming tradition.
And we delved into faith, culture,
The bond between people and animals.
plus the power of tradition.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And you know what?
What?
We've only scratched the surface.
Right. There's always more to discover.
Exactly. But this is where our listener comes in.
Yeah, it's their turn now.
We've provided the spark.
Now it's up to them to keep that curiosity burning.
So to our listener out there, think about this. We've seen how pet blessings in Madrid give us a peek into a culture's values.
Mm-hmm.
What about your own culture? What traditions or rituals or practices reveal something unique about how you, your family, your community see the world?
That's a great question to reflect on.
It is.
You might be surprised by what you find.
You might even uncover some unexpected connections to other cultures.
Just like we did with the pet blessing.
Exactly. The world is full of these amazing stories and traditions just waiting to be found.
You just gotta start digging.
That's the fun part. You don't even need a plane ticket to Spain.
Right. Or like a time machine to go back in history.
Exactly. Sometimes the coolest stuff is right there in front of you.
Like in our own families.
Uh-huh. In our communities.
Yeah. It could be something as simple as asking your grandma about, like, traditions when she was a kid.
Totally. Or looking into the history of your town.
Yeah. I bet there are all kinds of stories there.
There are. And those little details can tell you so much about bigger cultural patterns.
I never thought about it like that.
Think about it. Why do we celebrate certain holidays? Where did those customs even come from?
It's true.
What do they say about the values that shaped our community?
It's like each tradition is a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
And if you put them all together,
You see the big picture.
yeah, of our heritage.
What's really cool is that sometimes those pieces connect to puzzles from other cultures.
Oh, interesting.
Like we saw with the pet blessings in Madrid.
Yeah. Yeah.
What seems like a local thing can actually have roots in completely different places.
And times.
Exactly. It's like that 6 degrees of separation game,
Oh, I love that game.
but for cultures.
So you start with one tradition, and who knows where you end up.
You could be tracing it back to like ancient rituals
Whoa.
or migration patterns,
You're crazy.
maybe even how ideas were shared between whole civilizations.
So we're really more connected than we think, huh?
We are. Cultural boundaries are way more fluid than we realize.
So exploring our own traditions isn't just about the past, then. It's also about understanding humanity as a whole.
You got it. And
Yeah.
in a world where things feel so divided sometimes,
Yeah,
it's those shared threads of culture that can bring us together.
I like
They
that.
help us connect.
Okay, so we started with those pet blessings in Madrid,
Mm-hmm.
and now we've talked about faith, culture, the human-animal
And
bond.
Tower of Traditions.
We even touched on how connected we all really are.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. Hopefully our listeners are feeling inspired to do some exploring of their own.
Maybe they'll research their family history or go to a local festival.
Maybe even just talk to someone from a different background.
It's all about being curious,
Yeah.
expanding our understanding of the world.
Appreciating all the different cultures out there.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
The pleasure was all mine, as always. And to our listeners, keep those minds curious and those hearts open.
Until next time.